The psychology of emotional numbness. She sat at the edge of her bed, staring at nothing, not at her phone, not at the wall, just nothing. Someone asked if she was okay, and she smiled, the kind of smile that answers questions without feeling them, the kind that works. But inside, there was only static, not sadness, not anger, just a vast, quiet absence where feelings used to live. Emotional numbness doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with tears or drama. It slips in quietly, like fog over still water, until one day you realize you can't remember the last time something moved you. Not a song, not a sunset, not even the people you love. And the strangest part, you're still functioning, going to work, replying to messages, laughing at jokes. But it all feels rehearsed, like you're watching yourself perform a life that no longer reaches you. When did you stop feeling? Was it gradual, or did something break that you didn't notice? Psychologists call this emotional blunting, a protective mechanism the nervous system activates when overwhelmed. Your brain, flooded with cortisol and adrenaline for too long, begins to dampen its own receptors. It's not giving up, it's trying to survive. Think of it like a circuit breaker. When too much electricity flows through, the system shuts down to prevent permanent damage. Your emotions do the same. They don't disappear, they go dormant, waiting for safety to return. But here's what most people don't understand. Numbness isn't the absence of emotion. It's the presence of too much emotion, compressed into silence. She used to cry at movies. She used to feel sunlight on her skin and smile for no reason. She used to care deeply, maybe too deeply, about everything. And then one day, caring became exhausting. So she stopped, not consciously, not as a choice. Her body made the decision for her. Neuroscientists at Yale discovered that chronic stress shrinks the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for emotional regulation and connection. Meanwhile, the amygdala, your fear center, grows larger and more reactive. You become hypervigilant to threats, but disconnected from joy. It's a cruel trade. You lose the ability to feel peace in exchange for constant low-level anxiety. You're numb, but never calm. She couldn't explain it to anyone. How do you describe feeling nothing without sounding dramatic? How do you ask for help when you're not technically broken, just offline? So she kept going, kept smiling, kept answering, "I'm fine," until the words felt like a costume she couldn't take off. But numbness has a cost. It doesn't just block pain, it blocks everything. Love becomes theoretical. Beauty becomes background noise. Even anger, which used to fuel her, now feels like too much effort. And the silence inside starts to feel permanent. What happens when you can't feel anything anymore? Not even the desire to feel again. This is where emotional numbness becomes dangerous. Not because it hurts, but because it doesn't. It's comfortable in its emptiness. It asks nothing of you. And slowly, you start to believe this is just who you are now. But it's not. Research from the University of Michigan shows that emotional numbness is often the brain's response to unprocessed trauma or prolonged stress. It's not a personality flaw. It's a survival state that was never meant to be permanent. Your nervous system is stuck in freeze mode, the third trauma response that most people forget exists. Fight, flight, and freeze. When fighting feels futile and escape feels impossible, the body chooses stillness, complete, emotional stillness. She started noticing small things, how she could hear bad news without flinching, how compliments felt like words in a language she no longer spoke, how she could be in a room full of people and feel like she was watching through glass. The world kept moving. She didn't, and yet, some part of her remembered what feeling used to be like. A ghost of sensation, like a limb that's fallen asleep, still there, but unreachable. Here's what they don't tell you about emotional numbness. It's not about learning to feel again. It's about learning to tolerate feeling in the first place. Because the numbness wasn't random. It came after something, maybe a loss, a betrayal, a slow accumulation of disappointments that taught your brain that feeling was too risky, too painful, too much. So your nervous system did what it thought was kind. It turned the volume down, all the way down. But the body keeps the score. As trauma researcher Bessel van der Kolk writes, even when you can't feel your emotions, they're still there, stored in tension. In shallow breathing, in the exhaustion that never quite lifts. She tried to force it, watched sad movies, hoping to cry, listened to old songs, hoping to feel nostalgia. But the tears wouldn't come. The memories felt distant, like they belonged to someone else. Maybe feeling was a skill she'd forgotten. Or maybe she was protecting something deeper that wasn't ready to surface yet. When was the last time you let yourself feel something fully, without analyzing it, fixing it, or pushing it away? Here's the paradox. Numbness is both the problem and the protection. It's keeping you safe from pain you couldn't process then, but it's also keeping you from the life you want now. And the path back isn't about forcing emotions to return. It's about creating enough safety in your nervous system that feeling becomes possible again. Polyvagal theory, developed by Dr. Stephen Porges, explains this beautifully. Your vagus nerve acts like an emotional thermostat, constantly scanning for safety. When it senses danger, even emotional danger, it activates the dorsal vagal response. Shutdown, disconnection, numbness. To come back online, you don't need to snap out of it. You need to signal safety to your body. Slowly, gently, in ways that feel manageable. She started small, not by seeking big emotions, but by noticing small sensations. The warmth of tea in her hands, the texture of fabric, the rhythm of her own breath. Not feelings yet, just presence. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, something began to shift. Not a breakthrough, more like a thaw, like ice melting at the edges first, still frozen in the center, but no longer solid all the way through. She learned that healing, emotional numbness, isn't about getting back to who you were. It's about meeting who you are now, the person who survived by shutting down, and who deserves to feel safe enough to open again. There's no timeline for this. No 5-step plan. Just the quiet, courageous work of sitting with discomfort long enough to remember that you can survive feeling. What surprised me most wasn't just how journaling changed my routine, it was how I started recognizing emotions again, even small ones. This isn't a recommendation, just something that helped me notice what was happening inside without judgment. I'll leave the link below if you want to explore what I mean. She still has numb days. Days where everything feels muted, where joy and sadness both feel like concepts she read about but can't quite access. But now she knows. Numbness isn't failure. It's not permanent. It's her nervous system's way of saying not yet, which means, somewhere inside, there's still a someday. And someday, when she's ready, the feelings will return. Not all at once. Not in the dramatic way she imagined, but in quiet moments, like light breaking through water. She'll feel something real again. When she finally felt it, not happiness, just something that wasn't a wave, it was a whisper. Small, fragile, almost missable. But it was there, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't push it away. Maybe numbness was never the end of feeling. Maybe it was the intermission, the pause between chapters, the place where healing happens in the dark before it's ready to be seen. The screen still glows. The messages still come. But now, when she looks at her reflection in the dark glass, she sees something different. Not someone broken. Someone learning to feel again. One breath at a time. This is educational reflection, not clinical advice. If emotional numbness is affecting your life, speaking with a mental health professional can help. Tell us what moment hit you the hardest and where in the world you're watching from. See you in the next reflection.